In the future world of human society, some people suddenly possess superpowers. For example, electricity that can manipulate powerful electrical currents, as well as camouflage people who can blend themselves into their surroundings, and thinkers who can erase each other's memories. To control these superhumans, the human authorities have developed mechanical guards to monitor them 24/7. It's the latest sci-fi action blockbuster of 2024, and the full version of Code 8. Part 2 is online today. The story begins with a pair of siblings who have been relying on each other since childhood, and are two superhumans hidden in human society. Because currently, superhumans are often ostracized by society. In order for his sister Pavani to have a bright future, Tarak has been solely responsible for the family's expenses. In the evening, the two eat and chat as usual. Early the next morning, King appears in the community where Pavani lives. He brings a mechanical dog, claiming that this mechanical dog will not only not harm ordinary humans, but also effectively control the reckless behavior of mutants. It has better controllability and is more humane compared to mechanical guards when it is apprehending a superhuman who is harming society. If the target raises their hands and admits their mistake, the mechanical dog will stop attacking. Meanwhile, across the building, Garrett is watching everything. He is the boss of the superhumans in this area and has been doing business in the black market selling superhuman spinal fluids. When superhuman spinal fluid is processed, it's like flour to normal humans, and this has led to him reaping the benefits of it. And King, who is giving a speech downstairs, is his umbrella in the police. Meanwhile, Tarak finds his friend. Through an introduction, he meets Garrett. He shows Garrett his camouflage ability, hoping to be assigned a higher-paying job. However, Garrett is not interested in his non-offensive ability and says he can only arrange a delivery job for him. Upon hearing Garrett's response, Tarak becomes a bit anxious, because if he can't find a quick money-making job, his sister will have to drop out of school. In the evening, Garrett tells his henchmen to put King's share of the profits in a designated location and instructs them not to make any mistakes. After the henchmen drive off, Tarak, who is hiding nearby, follows them. He trails the henchman to the designated location, pries open the trash can, and secretly takes out the US dollars inside, thinking that with this money, his sister can successfully graduate. But in the blink of an eye, he spots the approaching police car. He hurriedly hides in the corner. The person coming is none other than King, who is here to collect the profits.
Bag's gone.
The next second, while checking the surrounding environment, King's subordinate Sorelli inadvertently discovers Tarak hiding in the corner. Realizing he's been exposed, Tarak turns and runs. Sorelli casually releases the newly developed mechanical dog. Tarak runs wildly with the bag, and the mechanical dog runs faster and faster, catching up to him in the blink of an eye. In a moment of desperation, he can only hide in an abandoned warehouse, blocking the mechanical dog outside. After shaking off the mechanical dog, Tarak returns home, only to find the mechanical dog waiting for him at his doorstep. It then uses a stun gun on him, rendering him immobile. He can only raise his hands, and when the mechanical dog sees Tarak's reaction, it stops attacking him. However, on the other side, when King sees the footage transmitted back from Sorelli's wrist, he signals Sorelli to eliminate Tarak thoroughly. No matter how Tarak pleads, it still executes the order given by Sorelli. Tarak's face now flickers after being injected with a special liquid, which is also a sign that his life is about to end. Just at this moment, Pavani happens to see Tarak lying on the ground with a mechanical dog beside him. The mechanical dog then spots Pavani and pounces on her to leave no evidence. However, in the next second, the footage transmitted by the mechanical dog inexplicably freezes. Afterwards, King takes the mechanical dog back to the lab, but after examination, they still can't figure out what exactly happened. Early the next morning, Connor is throwing out the trash when he discovers that the lock on the utility room has been pried open. When he opens the door, he finds Pavani hiding inside. It turns out that after Pavani was attacked by a mechanical dog last night, she was homeless and had no choice but to hide in a nearby utility room. Mina, the owner of the gymnasiums, learns what happened and tells Connor about the mechanical dog killing Pavani's brother. Connor is also puzzled. In theory, the mechanical dog shouldn't easily kill people. There must be a secret unknown to others. At this moment, there's a knock on the door from the police outside. Mina tells Connor to quickly take Pavani and leave, while she stalls for time. As Connor takes Pavani out of the gymnasiums, they are unexpectedly caught on the street surveillance camera, and Connor's information is instantly displayed on the screen. Turns out Connor is one of those superhumans who can manipulate electric gates. He takes Pavani back to his residence. Connor wants to comfort her but doesn't know where to start. However, Pavani uses her ability to sense that the police are already on their way. In the blink of an eye, the police arrive at Connor's residence with a mechanical dog. Before figuring out what's going on, he can only take Pavani and run away again. Just as they walk out the door, two fully armed mechanical enforcers appear in front of them. Connor has dealt with these things before and knows that their brutality is completely devoid of humanity. Connor uses his superpower, and a 100,000-volt electric current attacks the mechanical enforcers. The sudden outburst also puts a considerable strain on Connor's body. Immediately after, a drone arrives overhead, warning Connor and Pavani not to resist in vain. However, in the next second, it loses signal under Pavani's ability. Afterwards, Connor found Garrett. Connor is Garrett's younger brother. A few years ago, he served a few years in prison for taking the fall for Garrett. Only after he was released did he realize that he had been played by King. Since then, he stopped following Garrett. This time, he had no choice but to ask Garrett for help for Pavani's sake. Garrett told him that King just didn't want their cooperation to be exposed. As long as Pavani lost her memory of that incident, everything would be resolved. Connor also knew that it was basically impossible to escape King's pursuit at the moment, so he simply accepted Garrett's suggestion. He explained the seriousness of the situation to Pavani. Helpless, Pavani had no choice but to compromise. Garrett then takes them to the Thinking Man's place, where the Thinking Man holds Pavani's hand, and as she opens her eyes, Pavani's memories of Tarak come back to her. This also included the night when Tarak was killed by the mechanical dog.
Okay, it's enough.
We're not finished.
You got what you need.
Memories have roots.
Calm down.
You're gonna forget her own brother! That's the point. Get her out of the chair! Wake up!
As Pavani's memories were gradually erased, a tear slid from her eye. However, it was only then that the Thinking Man discovered that all the memories in Pavani's mind were related to Tarak, and they were endless from childhood to adulthood. This also brought an unprecedented burden to the Thinking Man. As he continued to delve deeper, the Thinking Man finally couldn't bear the burden and ended in failure. At the same time, Connor grabbed the fire controller's hand, triggering the sprinkler system on the roof. However, in the next second, the room was instantly filled with flashing electricity. Afterwards, in order to avoid King's pursuit, Mina planned to leave the city with Connor and Pavani. In the car, Connor also regretted what had just happened. He didn't know that Garrett wanted to erase all memories related to Pavani and Tarak. Just as they were driving under a bridge, Garrett caught up with them. However, neither side knew that King had already sent two mechanical enforcers to watch all of this. Connor angrily rebuked Garrett, saying he was just a pawn of King. The fact that Garrett could still stand here now only meant that he still had value to be used. Once this balance was broken, anyone would die, but Garrett couldn't bear to give up the achievements he had now. He never wanted to go back to being looked down upon by others like before. In the end,
You kill me first.
Garrett still chose his own brother and put down the gun in his hand. King had thought that Garrett would be able to kill his own brother for the sake of profit, but unexpectedly, the bond between the brothers was real. He then ordered the mechanical enforcers to launch an attack, under the gunfire of the robots. Multiple people were instantly shot. Pavani saw Mina get shot and thought she must have been severely injured. However, Mina turned out to be a superhuman too. She could harden her skin to withstand some physical attacks.
Connor, we need to get to my car.
I'm not fucking going anywhere with you.
No choice. We need to work together.
When I say go, you two get to the car.
After saying that, Mina walked straight out and was instantly shot multiple times. Garrett took the opportunity to use his superpower to defend against the mechanical enforcers' attacks. Under Mina's cover, they managed to escape back to the car with great difficulty. After being strafed by the two mechanical guards, Mina finally fell to the ground. To prevent Pavani from being hunted by King, Connor found a police officer he knew in prison and reported King's crimes to him, but the police officer helplessly told him that the higher-ups in the police force actually knew about King's actions. King's network was very extensive, and the officers who previously held evidence had all been eliminated by King. At present,
by showing everyone what he did.
There was simply no one who could bring him down. When everyone heard Pavani's words, infinite hope instantly arose in their hearts. Since they couldn't bring him down from the inside, they would use the power of the citizens to defeat him. So now the primary task was to get their hands on the mechanical dog following King, which stored all of King's criminal records. Afterwards, the two brothers disguised themselves as community workers. Before King got off work, they came to his house under the pretext of visiting him. At this time, King was also on his way home. After arriving home, the mechanical dog returned to its charging station and began to sleep and charge. When he came to the living room and saw the two brothers sitting on the sofa, he instantly broke out in a cold sweat, but he still maintained his composure because he didn't want his wife to get involved. At the same time, Pavani opened the garage door. After entering, she found the mechanical dog squatting on the charging station. However, when she approached, the mechanical dog emitted an alarm signal. On the other side, Sorelli, who was on duty, immediately noticed this unusual signal and then called King. Immediately after that, King's phone rings. However, he's just about to take it out to check when Garrett makes a kind reminder. Time passed bit by bit. Connor never received Pavani's signal of success and felt a little uneasy. He went to check on Pavani's progress under the pretext of going to the bathroom. After Garrett and King had a conversation, Garrett left King's residence. After the two brothers left, King immediately went to the garage and found that the charging station of the mechanical dog was already empty. In the blink of an eye, King arrived at the bottom of Garrett's building with his man. Garrett, dragging the headless mechanical dog, intended to negotiate terms with King. Garrett told King that his criminal records were all in the dog's head. In the future, he would have to reduce his share of the profits by half, and he should not disturb him, including Connor and Pavani. Garrett thought he had King in his grasp, but it didn't occur to him that King wasn't afraid at all, and he barrel-knifed Garrett before locking him in a hold. On Connor's side, as the police broke in, King also arrived. A big battle was inevitable. At this time, Connor had already escaped to the corridor with Pavani, but strange footsteps sounded behind them. Immediately after, a mechanical dog walked out. After Connor was knocked down, he saw that ordinary attacks had no effect at all. The mechanical dog finally crashed, but the next second, it restarted again. Fortunately, Pavani controlled the mechanical dog's movements before the drug was fully injected, and Connor managed to escape with his life. At the same time, Sorelli also arrived with a mechanical dog. He unhesitatingly gave the order for the dog to attack. However, the dog on Pavani's side miraculously turned to face Sorelli, also taking an attacking stance, and then charged over. After dealing with Sorelli's dog, the next one was Sorelli. However, when Pavani came back to her senses, she found that she had been shot by Sorelli. At this point, Connor was already dizzy from the drug. He laboriously picked up Pavani. When he walked out the door, the police had already surrounded the place. He slowly put Pavani on the ground. Enduring and pulling himself together, he also noticed reporters not far away. He told the reporters that they needed a camera so that the footage in the dog's head could be made public. A police officer beside them ordered the dog to attack. Just as the dog pounced, Garrett stopped it in midair, and the mechanical dog instantly turned into a pile of scrap metal. At the same time, the police officer Connor knew arrived at the scene and stabilized the situation that was about to get out of control. Afterwards, the reporter brought the camera to Pavani's side. Connor held the dog's head to serve as a power source, and Pavani transmitted the footage from the dog's head to the camera. The next second, the live broadcast appeared on televisions in streets and alleys everywhere. The footage not only showed Pavani and Tarak being killed that night but also the crimes King had committed all along. Seeing his actions being made public, King instantly flew into a rage. He raised his hand and pulled the trigger, but fortunately, Garrett defused the danger in time. Afterwards, Garrett used his superpower to control King, pointing the gun at his own head. In the end, King was brought to justice. The story is approaching its end here. If I were given a chance to choose a superpower, I would choose to fly. What would you choose?